In this section, we're going to take a look at CAT. CAT is a character animation toolkit that ships with 3ds Max 2011. Previous to 2011, you could get CAT if you want subscription in 2010 or even as a plugin before that. CAT is a tool set that will allow you to create rigs for any type of character, including bipeds, quadrupeds, and even multi-legged characters like you can see here with this spider. It also allows you the ability to take your characters and add a bunch of different layers to them so that you can have procedural animation. And it has a system called Cat Motion, which will allow you to adjust different parameters to have procedural motion on your characters based on curves and other things like that. And that's what these characters are walking with now. To create a character with Cat, we're just going to delete these guys here and go over to Create, Helpers, and choose Cat Objects. You can see there's a couple of different buttons here. And to create a character, we're going to click on Cat Parent. You can also see that Cat Muscles are available, which is a muscle system that you can use to deform objects and add different skinning abilities to your characters. If I just drag out a quick little cat muscle, you can see it gives us this little plane here. And if we go over into the front view, drag out a little muscle strand here, or maybe a bicep or a quad muscle. And we'll be taking a look at how to use those a little bit later. If you want to create a character, there's two different ways that you can do that. With Cat, you can create a preset character very much like you would with biped, that then you can adjust to the size and the shape of whatever character you happen to be rigging, or you can create a custom rig where you create all the different limbs and bones yourself. So you can see down here when you click on Cat Parent, you can choose to load or save a rig. If I just have none chosen, Cat assumes that I'm going to build a custom rig myself where I'll create all sorts of different bones and position them exactly the way that I want for a character, and I'm not going to use a preset, which we'll be doing later. If you click on a different preset, then Cat is going to drag out that preset. So if we choose this alien, we'll get a preset alien rig. We can grab this ape here, or a lot of times if you're doing just a basic bipedal character, you'll either use the base human character, or there's even a biped character. If you're used to the look and shape of the biped, then you can use something that approximates the look and feel of the biped. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our character just like this. We're going to use the base human setup, and we're going to drag that out. So if I click on Cat Parent, choose base human, and drag him out. To get any properties from any cat object, you're either going to go to the Modify panel, where you'll see different things. So right here we have the base of the character selected, and you can adjust its height and some other things about the character. And if we select any portion of a bone, then you can tell which limb it happens to be, if it's a right or left limb, and you can adjust things like how many twist bones it has and other things like that. If you select any portion of the cat character and you go to the motion panel, similar to biped, this is where all of your different motion abilities will be. So if we can go into our layer manager and adjust our character. Now, when you're setting up a character like this, there's two different modes, similar to how you might set it up with biped. In biped, you have a figure mode and you have an animation mode. It's kind of the same thing, but in Cat, you just start up in setup mode, and once you start animating, you're going to press this little animate button, and then you'll be animating the character. So right off the bat, you can grab any one of these limbs and start moving it into place. So they behave very much like stretchy bones, or like if you were in edit bone mode, and you can just kind of conform this character into the shape that you want. So we can move that over there. And you can also use things like scale. If we want to scale this guy, we can scale the bones, scale the hand out, or maybe the spine. So to do this, we're going to get a mesh that we might approximate our bones to. So let's open up a file real quickly. Let's go ahead and open the next file. which is E3D 2011 Cat02. In this scene, we have a real simple base mesh that we can take our character and make or conform the bones to. So we're just going to go and create helpers, choose cat helpers, and with our base human chosen, let's go into the center and click and drag out basically the same height as our mesh. When we're done with that, we can just right click and we'll go into the front view. I'm going to make this flat and I'm going to select the mesh and hit Alt X, and then I'm going to freeze it so that it is not selectable in the viewport, and I'll just turn on edge faces, get rid of the grid, and now I can easily move my cat bones into position. I'll start off with the arm and just move the hand up and to the right, and I'm going to rotate the hand. You want to make sure that you're in local coordinate system so that these guys rotate in the direction that the bones are set up. And then we'll move that next bone. We'll grab this shoulder and move it down and into place. And if you want the clavicle to start a little bit over here, we can do that as well. Then we'll go into the top view. And I can see that I need to rotate the hand over this way. And we'll just start to move these more inside the arm there. If you need to scale these, you can, so I'm just going to scale this guy up. And we're not going to worry about the fingers for right now. I'll go back into the front view. And it looks like I could adjust, moving that back a little bit and moving this hand joint back a little bit. So when I'm happy with the setup of this, I can select the root of this particular limb. And Kata is set up in a bunch of different hubs and limbs. So something like the chest would be a hub and the arm is a limb. Something like the pelvis is a hub and the leg is a limb. So if you select the root of the limb and you go to the Modify panel, you can see that we have copy and paste options. I'm just going to copy this, and then I'm going to select the other side, and I'm going to say paste mirror. And you can see it moves the position, the rotation, the scale of that arm over to the other side. Now that we're happy with the arms, we'll move on to the leg. I'm just going to select the root of this leg here and move that over. And the legs have a IK target at the bottom, so we're going to move that over to the right here for this leg and just rotate it slightly so that it aligns up with the foot a little bit better. And the knee looks like it aligns properly here. I might scale this out so it's a little bit thicker and go into the right view. So we'll just cruise over here. And I'm going to position this foot a little bit back. And I'll position this leg a little bit down and back, I think. And this one here, so that catches the knee. And I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll go into the front view, select the root of this limb, click on copy, and then select the opposite leg and say paste mirror. Now we have the general setup for our arms and our legs. I'll go in and select these spine links and scale those up so that they're a little bit fatter. And I could scale the chest if I wanted to too. Move the arms out a little bit and go into the left view. And you can see that the pelvis we might want to move forward a little bit. And definitely the spine, so we'll go to the root of the spine and move that forward and select these again and scale them slightly so they fit the volume of the mesh. I'm going to move the chest hub back. And let's look in the top view just to make sure that these arms are lining up where we want, and they are. And we're going to select the root of the neck and move that forward slightly. And maybe just scale these a little bit. So we can go and look around in the perspective view here, but for the most part, we have this guy kind of fitting to the mesh that we have, which is really good. Now we're ready to skin. This is a real basic example, and we'll do a quick skin on it, but we'll be moving forward and doing something a little bit more complex with a game character later. I just wanted to make sure that with a basic character and simple mesh, we understood the workflow of taking your bones and fitting them to that mesh. To skin this character, we're going to unfreeze the character, and I'll press Alt X to just bring it back from being transparent, and we'll add the skin modifier, and then click on Add Bones. From here, we want to make sure that we add all the bones. Now, cat object has a bunch of different bones, and it has a bunch of helpers too. Make sure that you don't have helpers selected because we don't want to select the base object, which is the object that controls the entire character, or we don't want to select the IK platforms of the character to skin those. We really just want the bones. So we're going to select those, and now the character will be skinned. And let's go into animation mode for the character. I think I'll take this guy and just click on Alt X again and freeze it. And then with the cat object selected, we'll go to the motion panel. And in order to animate the character, we want to get into animation mode. To get into animation mode, you need to add some sort of layer to the layer manager. And then you can press this little stop and play button in order to get into animation mode. If you click on this button right here, these are the different types of layers that we have. We'll get into how to use all of these, but for now, let's just click an absolute layer. So we'll select an absolute layer, and you can see it's an absolute animation layer. And now we'll be able to press this play button, which means anything that we do to the rig is going to behave in IK, FK mode, and the bones won't stretch out, and we'll be able to animate the character. So we'll just go to, I don't know, frame 5 here, and move the character's arm down on both sides, and maybe grab this little helper for the leg and bend that up like so. And you can kind of put your character into a fairly generic skin pose. We'll rotate this like so. So now we're able to get out of auto key mode, and you can see the character bends and deforms. So I'll unfreeze the character, press Alt X, and now this is a good way to go in and adjust all of your envelopes of the character because you have the skin pose, and we can just kind of scrub back and forth between and see how the envelopes are affecting different pieces of the character.